Day 5 of Buffalo Bills training camp is in the books, and this is everything you need to know. So in my video yesterday, I noted how it was the first day with shoulder pads, but today was the real first day of pads and contact. As always, we start with the injury report, and this one is lengthy. We had Spencer Brown, Dawson Knox, and Cedric Van Prengrager still all out. Now, Dawson Knox and Laviska Shenault were activated from the non-football injury list yesterday, but Knox still was out of practice, but Laviska Shenault did actually end up practicing for the first time this summer. And then we had 5 skill position guys who all had injuries and were out from practice today, and that was Dalton Kincaid, who's a new addition with left knee soreness, Elijah Moore with general leg soreness, we had Tyrell Shavers with his sprained lower left ankle, we had Caden Prather, and we had Curtis Samuel. Now, on top of that, we had Terrell Bernard and Dorian Williams still out from practice, and Tyler Bress was out, a new addition with a pelvic injury, and he went 4 for 8 on field goals yesterday. So pretty bad 2 days for Tyler Bass. In addition, during practice drills, TJ Sanders and Alec Anderson were both taken off the field to the medical tent. TJ Sanders did return, but Alec Anderson, I believe, did not. So the Bills' injury report keeps growing by the day, but let's move on again to the Sean McDermott press conference. So he took note of Shaq Thompson being in the Buffalo Bills linebacker room. Now, he was a veteran coming from the Carolina Panthers, where he was previously with Sean McDermott. Because Sean McDermott was a defensive coordinator early on in Shaq Thompson's career in Carolina, and said that having him in the Bills locker room is good for, leadership and veteran presence. Now, with today being the first day of contact, Sean McDermott did say, in quotes, "I want to see nasty physical football," which you love to see from Sean McDermott. Want to see that from the guys in practice, because you got to practice how you play. And then he gave an update on Tyrell Shavers, which we thought it was a much more serious injury than it actually was. It ended up just being a low-level ankle sprain for Tyrell Shavers, so he should be back in just a couple of days. And the last 2 notes he said was he talked about Baylon Spector, saying how he is a good football player, but the best ability is availability, and Baylon Spector has not been available throughout his first 2 years in the NFL, but Baylon Spector knows that, and he is on a mission to stay healthy during his 3rd season in the NFL. And then he also talked about Javon Solomon, how he had some really good growth going from year 1 to year 2. He's had a really good summer so far and should be able to contribute early on in the season. Javon Solomon being able to contribute early on is very, very key, because Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi, as you guys know, are suspended for the first 6 weeks of the NFL season. Now it is time to get into the practice notes, what everyone is here for. And what I did is I actually broke it down into the offensive line versus defensive line reps, the 1-on-1 reps, and the 11-on-11 reps, just to make it easier for you guys to understand. I'm going to start off with the highlight of the offensive line versus defensive line portion of practice, and that was Daquan Jones blowing past David Edwards on the left side to go in for a run stop, which you have to see from Daquan Jones, because he's kind of fighting for that starting spot because of the emergence of TJ Sanders. So Daquan Jones still being able to make a play in his age 33 or 34 season. Another quick note is Deon Walker, the Bills' 4th round pick. So on his first 3 first-team reps that he had, he was not really being moved at all by the offensive line. He was staying steady. However, he wasn't really able to move any of the offensive linemen either. Now, on the last rep that he had, he actually did get a hand in on James Cook, but he didn't really, impact the play too much. Another guy got the tackle. But Deon Walker not being moved by the offensive line, which just proves how big he is in that middle of that defensive line. Now we're going to get into some specific one-on-one reps for the offensive line and defensive line. So AJ Epineza had a really good power rush on Deion Dawkins. Got right past him. You like to see that from AJ Epineza playing with some power. Because, early on in his career, they made him go from like 270 to like 240. He lost basically all of his power year number 1. But now he's gained his power back, and he had a nice power rush move on Deion Dawkins. So he might be back to playing with some power in the NFL, which you would like to see. Tylen Grable made a really good play on Greg Rousseau, just kind of stopped him in his tracks. And Tylen Grable has been fighting for that back at right tackle spot against Ryan Van DeMark with Spencer Brown out. And so he makes a nice play against Greg Rousseau, who's had a great camp so far. So it's really good to see from Tylen Grable. And Landon Jackson had a really good rep against Chase Lund, a Buffalo Bills rookie offensive lineman. Made a very nice play on him to push him all the way back into the backfield. So Landon Jackson, who started out this spring or the summer on the PUP list, he's come back in team drills, is making a real impact, which you like to see. On the first rep of team drills, Dwayne Carter actually got right past Osiris Torrance for a tackle for loss on James Cook. And Osiris Torrance, he was great today. I don't have a ton of notes on him just because I kind of just stuck with the different segments. But Osiris Torrance had a really good day today. He had a nice block for James Cook later on in practice. But early on the first rep, Dwayne Carter got right past him. So let's see that development from the Buffalo Bills 3rd round pick from last year. Baylon Spector, who I kind of am not the biggest fan of, he had a good run fit on James Cook and a good tackle for a loss. And this is a guy who I really did not like at all last year. Did not really feel like he played that great in 2024. However, in yesterday's practice, he picked off Josh Allen and today gets a tackle for loss on James Cook. So maybe Bailey Spector is going to that next level. The last two plays that I have notes for: Ray Davis had a nice run to the left side, getting in between Deion Dawkins and David Edwards. So I'd like to see that from Ray Davis, who I think could have been a running back one if we didn't have James Cook, because he's that good of a player. And we had Ty Johnson, who was trying to get a run, but Ed Oliver stopped him right at the line. Now we're going to get into the one-on-ones, wide receiver versus defensive back. And the first play was a Keon Coleman fade route against Dorian Strong, and Dorian Strong was with him the entire way. He was draped up against Keon Coleman for the entire route, but Keon Coleman at the last second showed off his strong hands, made a nice catch in traffic over Dorian Strong. And Keon had a great day yesterday at practice, and he continued his dominance today with the pads on, so that Keon Coleman breakout could be coming soon. And Christian Benford had a pass breakup on Khalil Shakir on a deep pass on the left sideline, and Christian Benford has consistently been part of the Bills' best defensive player, and that just continued today. He had a bunch of pass breakups on a bunch of guys. The one guy who got the best of him a couple of times was actually KJ Hamler, who's kind of making that run for that last wide receiver 6 spot. But yeah, KJ Hamler had a nice couple of plays against Christian Benford. But other than that, Christian Benford has been absolutely locked down. And then Dane Jackson, who the Bills had for 4 years. He left last year. He's back this year. He had a nice pass breakup on a slant route against Joshua Palmer. And Josh Palmer has been making that push to be that Bills wide receiver 2 this year. So Dane Jackson making a nice play on a top Bills wide receiver. So maybe if injuries happen, Dane Jackson could be a good depth piece for the Bills. And I was saying before how KJ Hamler was getting the best of Christian Benford a couple of times, but Christian Benford did actually get a pass breakup on KJ Hamler, just kind of ripped the ball right out of his hands. So let's see that from Christian Benford getting the best of KJ Hamler, who's really not, one of the higher tier wide receivers on this team. But we had a Josh Allen pass to Khalil Shakir as a fade route on Jamarcus Ingram. Jamarcus Ingram had a good day yesterday, but Khalil Shakir got the better of him today. Now, Keon Coleman, I want to talk about two specific one-on-one reps. They were both against Maxwell Harrison. The first one, Keon just beat Maxwell Harrison off the line, got right past him. The ball was underthrown, but Keon Coleman adjusted and made a nice catch for a touchdown. So Keon Coleman getting separation on the Bills' fastest cornerback is pretty insane. And I will add that Maxwell Harrison, he has a lot of work to do. He has not had the most consistent start to camp, but Keon Coleman getting the better of him, running past him, shows that he's getting a little bit of separation. And another rep that he had against Maxwell Harrison, he had a nice double move, got a ton of separation, and made a nice play on the ball on a throw from Josh Allen. So it's like Keon Coleman really is getting a lot of separation, and getting the separation on Maxwell Harrison is impressive because he is the Bills' fastest defensive back. And then I have another note that Christian Benford, when going up against Keon Coleman, actually got a pass or a defensive pass interference call against him, which, I don't want to, glaze Keon Coleman too much, but the fact that Christian Benford, who has been the Bills' best cornerback over the past couple of seasons, needs to get a defensive pass interference call against Keon Coleman to stop a catch, kind of shows a lot that Keon Coleman is developing greatly in year number 2. And I have a quick note that Cole Bishop got a pass breakup. Don't know who it was against. But then the last note I have is that Dorian Strong and Christian Benford were the standouts among the Buffalo Bills defensive backs. So Dorian Strong, the 6th-round pick. Christian Benford, 6th-round pick. It looks like Dorian Strong could be the next great Buffalo Bills 6th-round pick cornerback. But with all that being said, it is time to get into the 11-on-11 portion of practice. And on the first play, Josh Allen scrambled out and found Keon Coleman for a 20-yard reception. Once again, Keon Coleman dominating, not only in one-on-ones, but on the first play of 11-on-11. And on the next play, Josh Allen once again had to scramble out of the pocket where he found Josh Palmer for a 15-yard reception. So that chemistry is growing. As I said yesterday in my video, they have a good connection, but that, consistency between them two has to continue to grow, and it definitely did today. Josh Palmer actually only a couple plays later had another huge catch on a 25-yard corner route. I believe it was against Tre'Davious White. Perfect pass from Josh Allen. So that chemistry really is growing. I think that could be a dangerous connection for the Bills this year. And there was one specific play where there was kind of a bubble route thrown for KJ Hamler, and Matt Milano just absolutely destroyed him, and actually resulted in KJ Hamler having to get checked out by the medical tent. But I believe that he is fine. But Matt Milano, huge day today. He was absolutely dominant. It's his 31st birthday, so happy birthday, Matt Milano. And he had a great day of practice. And he's really looking like that all-pro version of himself once again. Like I said before, Osiris Torrance and Team Drills had a huge block to help out James Cook at a 15-yard rush. And he actually demolished Bailey Spector, who had a good day today, but Osiris Torrance got the better of him this time. And I was kind of dogging on Maxwell Harrison before for those 2 bad reps against Keon Coleman, but he did have a good pass breakup on a deep throw to Khalil Shakir. So to see that, the ball was thrown from Josh Allen, Maxwell Harrison getting a good pass breakup. So, he has highs and lows during training camp, which you kind of expect from a rookie. So I guess you can't be too mad at his play so far. And James Cook had another big run due to a bad angle taken by Taylor Rapp. It's about a 15-yard run that could have only been like a 5-yard run if Taylor Rapp took a better angle, but he didn't, and James Cook took advantage of it and got an extra 10 yards. And Josh Allen was once again getting pressured by the defensive line, and just out of desperation, he threw up a ball to Keon Coleman, which was guarded by Trey White, and Cole Bishop ran across the field, got that pass breakup. So Cole Bishop playing sideline to sideline, you like to see that. He was making a couple big hits today too in practice. I didn't see any specific plays, but apparently Cole Bishop was looking really good in practice today. The last two notes I have were like Greg Rousseau actually had an almost interception. Obviously 6'7", kind of just jumped up and almost got the ball, but you like to see that from Greg Rousseau. And the last play of practice was a Keon Coleman slant route for about 10 yards. I believe it was on Trey White. Those are all the notes I have from practice today. I feel like it's not as much as the other days, but it could just be because I actually put it in an orderly fashion this time. So maybe I'm just going crazy. But the last thing we have is a Greg Rousseau press conference where he first was just saying how excited he is to play with Joey Bosa, saying that he's an absolute dog and that the person that he looked like he was in Los Angeles is the same person he is in Buffalo. Brings that energy to the Bills. He also mentions how he wants to improve every single part of his game this upcoming season, that he liked how he played last year, but you can always get better. There's always room to improve. So he's literally focusing on getting himself better across the board. He also says that Bobby Babich, the Bills defensive coordinator, brings a juice and an energy to the Bills defense, which really gets them excited to play every single game. So I had to see Bobby Babich having that effect on the defense. And Greg Rousseau was mentioning about Javon Solomon, saying that he has a great attitude and he's always ready to work. And that's why we have seen the growth from him from year 1 to early in year number 2 in the summer. But Bills fans, that is all I have today from Bills training camp day number 5. If you like this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more daily Buffalo Bills content. I hope you guys enjoy this one. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.